we'll start our Town of Frederick Board of Trustees meeting on the 11th of February, 2025. Jason or Trish, would you please call our meeting to order, please?
Mayor Kreitz.
Present.
Trustee Mahan.
Here.
Trustee Taveldi.
Here.
Trustee March.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown.
Here.
Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Trustee Padilla.
Here.
Mayor, you have quorum.
Great, thank you. All right, if you would all stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, logistically, do we have any changes to our agenda tonight?
No changes, Mayor.
Great, thank you. We'll move into our special presentations. I believe we have a St. Vrain Sanitation District presentation tonight. Hi. If you don't mind joining us and introduce yourself at the podium, please. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Mayor Kreitz, trustees. My name is Chris Cameron. I'm the district manager for the St. Vrain Sanitation District. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to speak in front of you tonight. I'd like to, start with, this is a system that you guys don't have to worry about. So that's the nice part about what we do for you. And, so I wanted to start tonight, pointer forward and back, got it. How we generally start all of our meetings for the district is we always start with a wastewater question. We like to, make sure that our team is understanding of all the processes and procedures. So regardless of what position you're in, we start all of our meetings with a challenging question. So tonight is, what is the purpose of activated sludge treatment process in the wastewater management system? So it's either to remove large debris and grit from wastewater, to break down organic matter using microorganisms, to separate heavy solids from wastewater through sedimentation, or to disinfect wastewater before discharge. I'll save the drama. It is B. It is to break down the organic matter using microorganisms. So you can now be a little bit more excited when you go to that trivia game. So a little bit about myself, Chris Campman, district manager. I've served Longmont, Arvada, and now I've been with the St. Vrain Sanitation District for around 7 months. I have a variety of certifications and education parameters that are there, but ultimately one of the more proud moments of my career was becoming the 21st professional operator in the nation. After Hurricane Katrina, there was a national awareness around certifications crossing borders. So the state of Colorado certification can't serve in Florida or California, or et cetera, was able to get one of those that could serve across lines if the nation needed you for a minute. So that's one of my more promising moments. In terms of boards, I served on the state's Underground Damage Prevention Safety Commission after the Firestone explosion, which was a few houses away from my house. So I joined the board and tried to make a difference in our excavation law and our excavation procedures. So current board about the district, Mr. Dan March is our president. Thank you, Danny, for all your years of service. Josh Cook, Ryan Freeman, Glenn Levanchi, and Kevin Feelier are our current board. A little bit about our organization and our Title 32 Special District. We are a Title 32 Special District. We serve our 208 boundary along with all other wastewater districts in the area. So we work together on long-term planning, with other Title 32 districts and municipal districts. There's a little organization chart. We have about 20 employees right now, give or take, right? Always, like you guys, we're always moving in and out of different positions, but we have around 20 employees supporting the district right now. System overview. We are currently serving Dacono, Frederick, Firestone exclusively, portions of Meade, Longmont, and unincorporated Weld County. Our land size is 140 square miles. Unofficially, we think we are the second biggest wastewater district in the state, next to Metro. That's unofficial. So there could be a surprise one somewhere in there. Total tap count right now is 15,000, 250 miles of collection system pipe. So just as a fun statistic, that'll get you to Devil's Tower National Monument in Wyoming if we were to lay it end to end. We have 6,000 active manholes. And the best part of our district is our current monthly residential bill is $34, billed quarterly. flat rate, not tiered. We are an extremely good rate for wastewater services in the area, and we intend to keep it that way. So overview. Ooh, that was right. Yep. So that was a little bit over of our system, a little bit of our treatment plant as we go back. So we just completed our fourth major expansion since 1986. HDR and Archer Western help us complete that. We are in warranty period and we're getting some little things tidied up. For an interesting statistic, we treated 1.3 billion gallons of water that the community sent to us last year. Site is permitted for 6 million gallons per day. We have an intent to upgrade that to 8 million gallons per day with 2 projects on our site. And the other cool statistic is the community produced 5.6 million gallons of Class A biosolids, equivalent to 115 40-yard semi-trailers. So not only are we treating water, but we're removing waste from the system as well. A little bit about our capital improvement projects. So in our 2025 critical projects, we have master planning and system modeling. At our plant, we are doing influent pump station upgrades and ultraviolet upgrades. Those will get us to 8 million gallons. Our collection system is going through major equipment purchases. We're putting together a field collection team, which we'll get to here in a moment. And so we have to buy all the equipment that goes along with that field operation. And now we are actively trying to build what we're calling Little Dry Creek Lift Station right now in Dacono, which should be a huge effort and a good community upgrade for our lift stations. In terms of Frederick, we are always tracking development through all of our communities. So some of our team is engaged with, understanding where our service lines are and how we can serve the community. So just a list, you guys are always aware of it, but we have the Public Works building in your new Public Works building in Kew, a new high school, Silverstone Marketplace, Penrose Subdivision, Columbine Heights, and Wheatland Subdivision are all active projects on our list. Here's a cool map for you guys to look at. This is just your shaded town with all of our sewer lines in it. So this is our GIS team. We put that together. The little blue line on the west side is our service boundary. So we like to look at planning areas versus just annexed areas because we want to try to understand what could be coming at us in the future. So we're always looking at the planning efforts of all the towns and trying to make sure that we're prepared for that next development. So some cool Frederick service statistics. We have in Frederick, we almost have 6,000 accounts. So our current account count's 5,700. That number does not work. Oh, so even single family equivalents is our SFE. That was my acronym that I spelled out because it's like, it's too confusing. So our SFE count is 6,585. That's equivalent. We use calculations in our equivalency similar to probably what you guys do for your water system. We have 5,500 residential accounts, non-res 219, and 7 multi-residential in Frederick. The growth since 2020, we've added about 1,000 customers to Frederick. So infrastructure-wise, we have 93 miles of pipe in the town, 2,200 manholes, and one aspect that I'm really proud of is 0 sanitary sewer backup. So none of your customers have experienced any sanitary sewer in their house, which is a good statistic and something we're striving for every day. Beyond that, we wanted to say a big thank you. Our new building is going up as we speak off of Eagle in the Eagle Business Park. We're on Falcon Place, and so we're excited to see it go in. We're going through all those processes. I do want to shout out your building and planning group. They've been great to work with. The whole team, you guys a month ago helped us with some permit fees, so we thank you, and we're excited to come be part of the community. And there'll be a little public works area over there. We'll just be hanging out with you guys, right? So it should be pretty cool as we go forward. I didn't want to take too much of your time because it wasn't very important, so a good opportunity to speak to you today. And if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them.
Chris, I want to thank you for doing this. I think one of the ways that as a town we can better ourselves is learning and putting a face to the people who supply our utilities and are so important to us every day. Sanitary sewage system is as important as any other thing that you have. And if you don't think that is true, flush your toilet once, and that what's in the toilet doesn't go down; it comes up and goes into your room. So it's very important. And Chris, I want to thank you so much for taking the time and coming in and talking to us. And,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're here for your team should we be needed. I know we have a few things to follow up on with you guys, but we're always working on it. So, we're going to continue to build this team as we go forward, and it's going to be a great part of the community. So thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very informative. We appreciate it.
No
Thank you. It's nice. Thank you for your service, too. Great. Thank you. Those were the only special presentations, or that was the only special presentation. No, that's correct. Okay. All right, we'll move into public comment at this time. This portion of our agenda is provided to allow members of our audience to provide comments to the Board of Trustees. Please sign in and you will be called. If your comment or concerns require an action, that item or items will be placed on a later agenda, so it's not a back and forth discussion, but you're welcome to share your thoughts with us and we'll consider it at another time. Thank you. Two public comments tonight. Mr. Bing Sellers, if you join us at the podium and state your name and address for the record, I would appreciate that.
Hello, my name is Bing Sellers, and I'm here with representing Soul Dancer tonight. It's really exciting to be working with you guys. With your help and your leadership together, we will improve the lives of not only ourselves, but our children and all people for generations. With your permission, Soul Dancer would like to build a clean, efficient 8 megawatt agri-solar farm, which will provide clean, dependable electricity to help clean the air, clean the water, and help preserve the ozone layer. We are cleaning up our planet. This will help reduce global warming issues and make a nice place for our kids to enjoy their life. Not to mention, you're going to get some great press out of this. On this first page, you can see that this is similar to what our project would look like, the panels and their growing crops underneath. We're actually going to grow trees and hay under our panels. Frederick will be one of the first towns to have their own agri-solar farm in the entire world. Soul Dancer will be producing videos and online blogs and website detailing how all this works, how positive, impactful this agri-solar farm is on the community. And we want to highlight how the town of Frederick and their leadership, you guys, have the vision to work with us and create a better future for ourselves and our kids and our constituents. Rolling electrical blackouts will become a commonplace more often because they're not building more power plants. The reason they're not building more power plants is because solar is becoming, solar and wind is growing at 30% per year. And they don't want to build more power plants because they're going to be obsolete in the future. So if you want to stay cool and run your AC and have normal lives, then you need to have power that's produced close to where you live. And if you look down below, you can see we've got a line showing where this solar farm is going to be, and it's right in the middle of Frederick. So when they're having rolling blackouts and power outages like they have with the water, Frederick's going to be fine because they're going to have plenty of electricity. We will produce enough electricity for 675 families right here in Frederick where the power is needed. We will also have fixed price that we're going to charge United Power for the next 20 years. So that's going to help with your utility bills, keeping them constant. They'll probably raise them a little bit, but not because of us. Your actions today will help put money into your pockets and the pockets of all Frederick citizens for years to come. This is so good, it should be illegal. Soul Dancer will be providing needed electricity. They will also be growing fruit trees and hay below the solar panels. These crops will help clean the air, provide clean oxygen and healthy crops for people and animals to eat. We will be placing this 15-acre megawatt agri-solar farm in a private conservation easement that allows agricultural production and energy production. This agri-solar farm can be used as open space and crop production area and will replace 3 oil wells on this property. 2 of the oil wells have already been capped, and the third one is scheduled to be capped. You will be helping to get rid of old oil wells and clean up our town. There will be beautiful trees buffering the agri-solar farm, so the few neighbors that we have will not be affected very much. In closing, it takes dreamers and visionaries like you to come up with ideas and dreams of ways to work together and make this work for all of us. This is a brand new thing. There's nothing in your code about agri-solar farms. There is no agri-solar farm zoning. The property that we're going to put this on is currently zoned agricultural, so there is no need to rezone it since we're using agricultural there. We will be placing this in an area which is tucked back and out of sight. Very few homes will be able to see it. Plus, there will be a tree buffer around it. The only space we will use, the open space we will use as a conservation easement, which allows for energy production and electrical systems, so it meets the letter of the law. We have submitted the application to the building for a building permit, and you as the leaders are the boss. Please go to the planning department and the building department and ask them to figure out a way to make this work for all of us. If you want this in your town, which I hope you do, then I suggest we move forward and get it done. But we don't want to fight with Frederick. So if for whatever reason you guys don't want this in your town, just tell us. I mean, let me know within a week. We've got other projects moving towards Platteville and other parts of Weld County. So we would love to put it here, and we would love to work with you guys, love to provide that power. If for whatever reason, I would like to move forward with you. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can speak with me or call me anytime. You got my number. There it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
you.
thank you for your time. Okay, I have Mike Sims, is that correct?
Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Sims. I live over in the Wyndham Hills subdivision on the west side of I-25 and on the north side of 52. I've been working with, I'm not an HOA board member. I'm a resident over there, and I've been working with the community development group and a landscape committee that we formed about 3 years ago over there for water conservation. So I've been working with that community development group like that, trying to figure out what we can do to get this plan and this project going. Many plans have been sent over to Sarah Watson's offices, and she's worked very hard to get them through to everyone. We've had several delays and redrawings and things like that, but we want to get this going because we're kind of coming down to a deadline. When the ditch opens up April 1st, we won't be able to do anything else after that timeline. We want to get a check system put in the existing ditch and then cut into the ditch for a head gate before that April 1st timeline. We probably used last year over there at that subdivision 22 million gallons of water. And that's about $263,000 that we spent on water alone, just for sprinklers and things like that over there in that subdivision. So we're just trying to get down to get this diversion structure built in the ditch and get these things moving along so we can meet that April 1st deadline. Because once we can get that check structure in there and then get that cut into the ditch, we can do the rest of it even after the water starts to flow down through the ditch. And that pond and the piping and all that stuff can be done. So we're just trying to see what we can do over there. The HOA's asked me about it a couple times to see what we can do to move things along and see if we can get a decision in the next couple weeks, because we've really got to get started on it. And that's pretty much all I've got. We're trying to get that done over there to save us a lot of water. That water can be used for something else other than throwing it down on the ground. And so if you have any questions, again, you got my phone number there, my email address, and that kind of thing, and I'd be glad to help. But I know Sarah's worked hard on this and everything like that, so we're really, thankful for that. And if we can just get things to going on it. So, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate your time. I think Sarah is here, yes? Do you have an update you're willing to share tonight, perhaps? Yes. That'd be wonderful, please. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. So yes, we're getting really, really close. I've been trading some emails with the ditch company over the last couple of weeks to kind of get an idea of where they stand on approving the structure. Unfortunately, my discussions with them doesn't sound like they would be willing to approve an agreement for construction of that structure, given the time frame that it would take to build that. However, they are willing to entertain putting a pump in the ditch and pumping into a pond structure for only this irrigation season. It sounds like they still have to reach out to the developer to discuss the terms associated with that, because they obviously don't want to cause damage to the ditch, but they want to be able to help the HOA. They do understand the concern that they have for the cost of that water. So this would be a short-term solution. And as we work through the permitting, regardless of if the district would approve their agreement to work within the ditch, that permitting would still take multiple weeks, and having to be out of the ditch in early April, it's probably not going to be possible this year. So that is the alternative that they could work under for this year.
So perhaps it's helpful. Who issues permits on those types of things?
So the permit for the structure itself has to go through the EPA, essentially, and we're working with Northern Water. Northern Water is applying for that permit on behalf of the town. Northern Water has a very strong relationship with this ditch company. They use it to transport water, so they are kind of the big man in the room when we're dealing with the ditch company. So that's why they're assisting with this permit, and it does help us a lot because they do those kind of permits way more often than staff does. So they're pretty familiar with the process. So I've been working with them. What they've conveyed is the time frame to do that. It's just not going to be possible this year because it's taken so long to get those plans to a point where the ditch company is comfortable. The ditch company engineer, I spoke to him last week, and he said he's comfortable with all that moving forward to Northern Water. So all of that information has been provided to them, but we're still so late in the game that it's going to be later this year that they would need to be able to go in to start building the structure. But again, having that temporary fix to hopefully get water into the system this year.
Has the developer talked about providing solutions as well? Have they been part of the solutions?
Yeah, the developer reached out to the ditch company regarding that request for pumping out, and the ditch company then reached out to us to see if we would be okay with that. And I said, well, it's your guys' ditch, so as long as you're comfortable with it. But it sounds like they still have to communicate that to the developer.
Okay,
So I'm going to follow up with them and see.
so that's yet to happen, that piece. Okay. I mean, this feels a lot, like we're the middleman or the liaison in some way, as we should be, as a municipality. And I think maybe over time, because I've had some communication from other residents that are looking for conservation, looking for water relief in Windham Hill in particular. But I think there's been some miscommunication on who's responsible for what, and not necessarily asking for anybody to point fingers and this is whose fault or this is who should have done this years ago, but maybe just for edification on here was the timeline. This is what was permitted, at at subdivision time. This is what's being requested now. Here's who's involved and what parties are involved, who's responsible for what, and here's the process to make sure that happens. I think it's important for Windham Hill and for the entirety of Frederick to understand the municipal responsibility, and then areas that are not our responsibility. I think it would be helpful to our Windham Hill residents to know that. Would you be willing to provide a summary and work with the communications team to get something out to those residents?
Yes.
Okay, so some history, where we're at today, where we're potentially proposing, and who's involved in the decisions of those proposals. Did I miss anything? Okay. Is that okay? Okay. All right, let's just make sure we're all getting on the same page. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work on that, Sarah. I appreciate you. Okay, those were the 2 public comments that I had tonight. Do I have anyone else who'd like to share public comment? Nope. All right, thank you for both of those presentations. We have staff reports next.
Yes, Mayor and members of the board, I do have one item that I'd like to have planning or Ally to come up and just give a quick update on a land use item, just with some communication that's been going on today.
Great.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Mayor. Town staff has received several inquiries from multiple residents regarding the Maplewood subdivision, filing to Amendment A, Lot 1, rezone application, also known as 320 Maple Street. Over this past week, the rezoning application was submitted on January 20th, 2025, and has been routed to review to the Development Review Team. The Development Review Team is currently conducting the first round of review. We have not finished that first round of review. The town has adhered to the required land use code process in evaluating the application. If the review determines that the application meets the established land use code criteria for rezoning, staff will proceed with scheduling a public hearing. At this time, it is anticipated that the Planning Commission would consider the application in late April. Possibly that application would come to you in May. All public comments we've received thus far will be incorporated into the official public record. As the final decision-making body, you all have the authority to approve or deny the application when it comes to you. And we plan on taking this information I'm providing to you tonight and sending it to all the residents who have reached out with questions and concerns.
Where you're at in the process.
Yes.
And just as a brief reminder, in terms of quasi-judicial issues, we want to make sure that we're not blurring lines in terms of the process of when you all should be reasonably involved. And so we'll take the information that you all have been forwarded directly. We're going to capture all of that to make sure it gets to the right portion of the project and process. And that way you all, as the decision makers, will come to that hearing, assuming it happens in May timeframe, with a clean slate and ability to look at it objectively as you should under the legal requirements. And in that same communication, helping the residents understand where they need to put their voices into the process to make sure that they're appropriately heard, so that you all can have that unbiased approach to whatever that decision-making process looks like. So I would encourage you from the legal perspective not to get involved at this point because it's too premature. If you do get questions, or if you get stopped, if you get directly communicated, inform those individuals to please contact the planning department to make sure that their voices and concerns are heard at the appropriate portion, and we'll make sure that those get to you eventually, but not prematurely.
Good reminder, thank you.
And stop me if this is getting involved, but I'm a resident who receives notifications about it, and as a resident, I like the format of the diagram of where we're at in the process, because I think it's really helpful as a visual to see how these types of projects move through the process. So I really appreciate it. I think I've received 2 communications on it now, so I appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you, Allie.
Thanks, Ally.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Ally.
Any other?
Only one other item is just a reminder, we do have our Q1 roundtable that is next Tuesday at 8 to 9:30 at the fire station. So just let us know if anybody that can be there. Just reach out to us, and we'll start the first quarter.
Great.
Next month.
Thank you.
Or
Is
next
the
week.
firehouse on the other side of 25?
No, it's on Koshmer. I'll make sure that the invite has the address on there to the board.
Great.
And is now an appropriate time to talk about the windshield tour and to make sure that we're available for that, or do you want to wait till trustee reports?
Let's do
That's
that.
okay. All right. Go ahead.
So we're looking. There's a placeholder on your calendar for April 1st. I think I have that right?
Yes.
April 1st. The plan is to do a windshield tour. We're gonna break up each of the board members with leadership team and a core team to go out, and we'll break the town into quadrants, and so each team will go and just pretty much drive. We'll supply a vehicle for all team members, and we will drive that quadrant and observe all conditions within that quadrant within the town. Anything from things that you would see, from code to streets to good things, positive things, things that we can improve on, and make a list. And the plan and the hope is the following week on the 8th of April, we'll come back in a mini retreat and really discuss what each team observed during that windshield tour. It's a great opportunity. One, we'll have a little bit more light during April, so we'll probably start right at 5:30, and then we'll be out driving until your team's done, until it's dark. And we'll probably have it organized where there'll be a team member taking notes, and then we'll do a data dump that following week on, as we get into the budget, what are opportunities, what are successes, kind of like a mini SWOT analysis for certain areas of the town.
Great. It's already on calendars, the 1st and 8th.
Yeah, so if you can let us know if you have any conflicts with it by the end of this week, so we can start organizing the quadrants, the teams, getting the vehicles, getting all that ready to go. If you can let us know by the end of this week, that would be great. I think if we could start it, I know it's a hard ask, but 5:30, we'll have probably some type of a, sorry, my voice, we'll have some type of a box lunch that can go out there with you as well. So we want to take advantage of the daylight and just see parts of the town that maybe we don't see every day.
Yeah, thank you. So let Brian and team know if you're unable to participate, if that's helpful. And I think the 8th, we already have a regular scheduled Board of Trustees meeting, so we can either work around that or work within the confines of that meeting for our mini retreat, so you don't have to add anything else to your calendar that week. Thank you. Any questions for our town manager and team? No. Thank you. Thank you for the update as well, Allie. All right, we'll move into our consent agenda. Our consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless a board member so requests, in which case that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered at the end of the consent agenda. You do have one item tonight. Would anyone like to remove that item or provide some direction on your consent agenda tonight, please?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda item as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. Thank you.
Trustee Taveldi?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee Lamach?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee March?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Trish. Let's see, action agenda F, resolution 25R19. Hi. All right.
Hello, good board and trustees. So tonight, before you for consideration is a contract for the purchase of CBT and an accompanying budget amendment. So this is in line with our strategic, reliable infrastructure goal of the town, having water resources available to meet the needs as the town grows and to incentivize commercial development has been a priority for the town. So this falls within our nice big tree of the water with the town. CBT purchases are currently being dictated by the recommendations of our 10-year water resources plan. So out of that 10-year water resources plan, the recommendation was to purchase an additional 357 CBT units. That's to include the 200 CBT units that was purchased in 2022 to be used for incentivizing for commercial developments, as well as meeting prior obligations that the town is committed to. So we have come a long way towards that goal, with only 80 units remaining to be purchased under that plan recommendation. So here's a pie chart that shows that. So if we do close on the 40 units, that means that we would only need another 40 units to meet that. That includes, under the 10-year plan, the purchase of one additional Windy Gap unit to be used for storage in Dry Creek, like we do store our other Windy Gap water. And I heard that there was a question about Windy Gap and how we use it and when we'll use it. So I want to use this time to dive into that a little bit. So the town has now put into storage about 1,300 acre feet of Windy Gap water. The goal of the town has been to fill our 2,000 acre foot of storage that we lease from Central Weld in the Dry Creek Reservoir. Once we hit that number, we know that we have that firm storage and we can start taking treated delivery of that water. So with our storage at about 1,300 acre feet, this year, if we put another 700 acre feet of water, which is what our yield is out of those Windy Gap units, that means that we affirm that storage. So then next year, we can start taking treated delivery of that water. That water is already included in the analysis that we do for our the water allocation policy, because we know that that water is going to be available for treatment. Do you have any questions on that before I move on?
How much would you take out?
How much would we take out of that storage?
Yes.
It depends on how we want to use it. I would recommend using as much as we can replace the next year, so around 700 acre feet.
Okay.
That'll allow us to start turning over the water in that reservoir. It has been pretty stagnant, and that can help with some of the water quality concerns that the district has with treating that water.
And Sarah, to also interject, that Windy Gap then provides the opportunity, once we're utilizing it, to have some reuse credits for our water portfolio as well.
Yeah, it's basically free water, like our water attorney likes to say. We've purchased that water and we can use it to extinction, unlike our CBT water, which we cannot. So we get many uses out of that water. So the offer for consideration today is 40 units of CBT at $61,000 per unit, which is a pretty good cost from what I've seen. I've seen offers from $62,000 to $63,000 come across my desk in the last month or two, but this is the best one that we've been approached with. So the 2025 budget included $2.1 million for water. Like I said, this request includes a budget amendment. The total cost for the water is $2.44 million. So there's an additional $340,000 being requested as part of this item to complete this purchase. Like I said, the previous slide, we're really close to meeting our goal. It's within our budget of the money that we have within our water fund to purchase these units this year, since we have the opportunity to purchase them, and that means we're not purchasing them later where that price could increase again. I know a few years ago we bought them at $70,000 because that's where the market was. At least it's come down today, so that's great. So I want to take advantage of that as it is lower. Some background on the particular units that we would be purchasing. These are coming from a participant of the Platte Valley Irrigation Company. It's a slightly different operation where the company, the shareholders, have access to CBT, and if they do divest their interest of their CBT units, it has to be approved by the Platte Valley Company. They're going to be approving that by the end of February. And once that approval is granted, then we can move forward with the sale. I spoke to Northern Water, and it sounds like it's a slightly easier process. We have to go through less title checks. So they're familiar with this process. But I wanted to flag that since it is slightly different. We still have to submit the temp use permit, and it's proposed to go before the April Northern Water Board. So we'll be completing all of the documentation to get that submitted to Northern Water by March 3rd. Are there any questions?
Just a question out of my mind. You're asking for another $340,000 to be added to this year's budget.
Yes.
We're always going to buy 40 shares. Why didn't we budget for 40 shares at the higher cost than at the 2.44 million? Was that it?
So we actually typically plan to purchase 30 units
Okay.
at a higher cost.
All right.
That's what that number was based off of. Sorry for not clarifying that.
Didn't make sense yet. Thank you.
So the drop in the cost down to 61,000 isn't as bad as what it could have been had it stayed up there. So in order to meet that requirement, we would have had to come up with a lot more money. Right?
Yes. Yeah, if it wasn't a great deal, we would have to come up with more.
Well, and typically it's not in large units like that, right? I feel like we've talked over the years about how nice it is when it is 40 units all together rather than 10 and 12 and 2 and, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mayor, a lot of that comes with the market. When we were purchasing in 2022, we had a lot of smaller block units because that's what was being offered to the town. Right now, a lot of the blocks that are being offered are larger blocks because people have been sitting on them for longer. Some of them are less willing to break those blocks up. Some of the people that I've talked to were around the same size. Some of them were larger and like, well, we can talk to our seller and see if they'll break them up, but it wasn't always certain. But with the seller, it's a good number of units and it's a good price for us.
Good price.
It gives us the ability to purchase the 40 instead of 30.
Any other questions, Sarah? Not some direction would be great. Yes.
Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 25R19.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? No?
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Trustee Taveldi?
Yes.
Trustee March?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. You okay?
I'm good.
All right. Yes. We have item G, Resolution 25R18. I think we have a couple of presenters tonight. Tracy, great.
Yes.
Please, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and trustees. Today I'm going to give our annual report and also submit for approval to applications for the first part of the quarter. In 2024, do we have it up yet? Oh, just waiting. For 2024, as we think about our strategic goals, we take a holistic approach to our grant department. And so for this first slide, I'm going to talk about 2024 as it relates to community impact and need for the community. The first for the police department, we really saw the need for additional services for our victims, Carbon Valley Victim Mead Program, and the recruitment of cadets to ensure a safe community, and also the protection of our police officers. In 2024, we were awarded $211,000 for that community need. For engineering, we really focused on water conservation and infrastructure improvement. This included ARPA funds, and we did spend a portion of ARPA funds at the end of 2024. We also focused on water conservation. For the economic department, we diversified our housing, and started a partnership with Weld County and in our CDBG funding. And we awarded $250,000 for 2024. And so that is for the St. Bridget apartment building, which can be completed this year. Next, I wanted to focus on the numbers for 2024. Right now, we're in the process, during 23 to now, we have 13 grants in process and 1 in closeout, and 10 submissions for 2024, and 7 were awarded. For this year, we're going to continue to focus on victim services, infrastructure with the economic development and engineering, look at water infrastructure for our public works, which is the water meter replacement, which is a part of ARPA, and the upgrade of police department equipment. And then we'll be submitting a grant for our sidewalks for the downtown in the amount of $250,000 for this first quarter. The economic department submitted a grant in the amount of $1 million to DOLA, which requires a 50% match, and this is provided by the developers. The project includes site demolition, new infrastructure installation, and associated work with that. And then once again, we'll be submitting the CDOT grant for $250,000, which is a local match of 10%. So that's the focus of sidewalks upgrade for the Main Street. And just wanted to give a brief reminder on federal funding. On January 27th, the Office of Management and Budget released a memo stating a freeze on funding, but that was rescinded on January 29th. And so it's kind of, right now we're at a day-to-day. And grant writers, I can tell you, around the nation are just leaning in and getting the work done and still submitting applications. And so that's where we are with that.
Great.
And so just wanted, the next action item is the recommendation of approving 25-R-18. And this gives the authority for the mayor to sign the grant awards if awarded.
I just like to see all the transportation focused grants on the downtown with the sidewalks. I think it's really creative, and so just thank you for all the work that you do.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm grateful for the state of Colorado too. Really am. Further leaning in on funds.
Yeah, that slide in particular of your success of the 7 that were awarded. I think we've had the benefit of having you on our team for the last 2 years.
3 years.
3 years, yeah, a little over 2 years. So yeah, that's amazing accomplishment and a lot of funds that you brought to our community that we didn't have to ask taxpayers to participate in, that you were able to go help us fund programs that are very important to our community. So
yeah, and I think it's good to remind that we are bringing local taxpayer money back into our community.
Yes.
So
absolutely. Well, thank you, Tracy. Questions, comments, concerns? Do you know what the timeline on the Main Street, on the sidewalk grant?
Well, it's due at February 26th, but I don't think it starts till May.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have it. It would line up
Okay.
for the summer. Yeah.
Great. Some direction would be lovely, please.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 25-R-18.
Second.
Any further discussion? No?
Trustee Padilla?
Yes.
Trustee Lamont?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown?
Yes.
Trustee March?
Yes.
Trustee Taveldi?
Yes.
Trustee Mahan?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Great. Thank you to you and your team. All right, those are our action agenda items tonight. We now have trustee reports. Anyone have anything they'd like to share?
You?
Yes, please.
I just have a question and a potential motion for the board. Last month, a woman's place came and presented, and we needed data. We received data that last year they assisted 6 families from Frederick, and their original funding request was for $2,000. We have $15,000 in our oil and gas impact fund. I know we've given out some grants. I don't know that I would propose $2,000, but I'd like to see what the board thinks about potentially granting them $1,000 now that we have the information that they do serve families from Frederick.
May I ask that you formalize a recommendation?
I can make a motion.
That would be lovely, please.
I move that the board grants $1,000 to a woman's place based on data provided in the presentation.
Second.
Second, do you mind adding this to our agenda? You're comfortable with this resolution?
Yeah, it's already been appropriated, so I think you can do that.
Please, as a matter of record, I'd appreciate a roll or a vote, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Brown,
Yes.
Trustee Lamach,
Yes.
Trustee Mahan,
Yes.
Trustee Teveldi,
Yes.
Trustee March,
Yes.
Trustee Padilla.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you for requesting further information as well, and to the team for reaching out to those parties involved to bring it back to you. I appreciate that. Anything else, Trustee Padilla?
That's it.
Thank you. Nothing at this time?
Nothing at this time.
Nothing at this time?
I'm good.
Okay.
Glad to see you back.
Yeah, hi. I'm glad to be back.
I don't have anything at this time either.
Okay, thank you. Nothing at this time. Anything from staff? No? I know following this meeting, we have a Frederick Metropolitan District meeting, so if you can all hang tight, we can take a 5-minute recess, and we'll get Trustee Teveldi on that meeting. Other than that, we can be adjourned.